Good morning, everybody. My name is Kayleen from Loving Life with Light, and this is Universal Astrology. Good morning. It is March the 11th of 2021, and even though I'm not used to, I feel like this happens everywhere. I'm every year. I'm not used to writing the year 2021 because I do a lot of typing, and I'm not used to typing it either. But I think that might have just changed for me last night. I think last night I finally realized it wasn't 2020. At least my fingers did when I was typing. Because spring is here already, and that's crazy. At least it seems like it. Day like 3 or 4 of just absolute beauty. So I hope everyone's doing well today. I know the last like 2 days have been kind of accident prone, so hopefully that kind of slows down a little bit. The good news is KP is still low, although it's getting a little too low. So we may end up having some cosmic rays. I'm not sure. I'm not going to check too much on space weather today. We can see that we have put the purple sun down, and so we do have southern coronal hole and some spaciness in the center even. So I know we're getting some solar wind, just not as much as last week, creating all those geomagnetic storms for us. I'm also noticing that Schumann resonance which is right below the Earth. Right about there, this blue and green and white graph here, has been doing a little bit of dancing. No huge spikes or anything, but it is kind of fluctuating, as you can see. Definitely have some energy. And I did kind of look over earthquakes as well. The highest one that I saw is kind of like yesterday, in the fives. And I kind of checked out the areas that they're happening in. Nothing really to cover there. In 2 days, technically, we'll have a new moon. So that's pretty cool. I think this morning I'm really just going to spend most of my time looking at the charts. So I'm just going to go ahead and get over there, and we will, let's see. I need to get my my face. We can see my face. Hi, face. Okay. So today, we actually, if the first thing that I looked at when I put my bar chart together is that the sun has some crazy aspects to it today. I mean, just look at over here. We've got so much, so much. So to just kind of list off what I see, Uranus, and this is again sun-centered. So if we were to we'll look at the astrology in 3D first, and then we'll come back to this chart. We're gonna look at this from a sun-centered perspective first. So sun's in the center, and we've got planets kind of spread out around the sun, so that's why we're seeing some crazy here. But again, I noticed this yesterday, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, this isn't part of the chart, but it really is a lineup. So like if I was to look up Venus's centered chart, which I can do, or Mars's centered chart, we would see that there's a conjunction here towards Capricorn, and Mars being the planet of will and Venus being the planet of heart and compassion. These two, we can just keep in mind, are aligning up with Jupiter for growth and Saturn for growth. So regardless of what we might see in our little 2D charts, I'm keeping that alignment in mind because I think it's a strong one, those 4 planets being together. So for sun-centered, we have a lot of different angles between each other. There's a lot of the planets can speak to each other where they are in sight of each other. So if I was to come over here and look down, from the perspective of, let's say, Neptune. Neptune has sight of all of these different planets. So it can see Saturn, it can see whatever's behind Saturn over there, it can see Sirius, it can see the little guys, it can see Uranus. So when the planets are spread out enough and they can see each other like this, you see Pluto, there's a lot of energy coming in, and this being a sun-centered chart, there's a lot to, this might be a really good day of just you could really kind of do anything with the energy of this day, because things are spread out. There's a little bit more balance to things. It just looks so much more complicated when we see it in a 2D because of all these lines. So I mean, I can see that Mars is trining over to Venus. I can see that Uranus is squaring over to Jupiter and Saturn. We also have a trine over to Venus from Uranus. We have Venus squaring Mercury, and we have Venus trining over to Mars. We have Jupiter sextile over to Mercury. See this, we've got just some beautiful triangles here. We have one triangle here, one triangle here, one triangle here, another one back here. So yeah, I see a total of like 4 or 5 triangles in the Sun Center chart today. If we go over to Earth, it's much more simple, right? The only thing we're really seeing in the Earth Center chart is that Uranus is squaring Saturn, that Mercury is squaring Mars. That's it. The Mercury, interestingly enough, is at the gateway of Capricorn and Aquarius at 29 degrees. So that one's actually probably a little bit more important than we might think that it is, just because of its position in the sky. The square over to Mars, so if we've got Mercury of mind and Mars of will, Mars is in the energy of Taurus. Taurus is pretty materialistic. It's concerned with the surrounding environment, things being beautiful and kept pristine. So while Mars is in Taurus energy, it's probably not moving around too terribly much outside of its comfort zone, where Mercury is entering into the energy from Capricorn to Aquarius. So it's going to be trying to become more balanced and more equal. So the conversations are probably going more along the lines of, okay, so we're coming off the mountain, what's next? And how can we share what we've learned? How can we share what we've gathered? How can we distribute to the village what we have hunted, so to say? So those kinds of conversations are definitely likely. Uranus is still in Aries. It's squaring over to Saturn. So this is like Saturn and Uranus coming into a room to discuss the matters of things and everything in between them. And they have a lot going on between them in this square. They have Jupiter, Mercury, Moon, Venus, Neptune, Sun, Chiron. That's a lot squished in for them to discuss, because Saturn is gonna be trying to make its way over to Uranus over an extended period of time. So this is not really more so. This is more like a meeting, more like a meeting to discuss between them the struggles of getting through and getting what's going on, because there's a lot going on between them. So this might be a kind of fiery, quick meeting, if Uranus has to say anything about it. However, Saturn might take its sweet time in Capricorn and make sure that everything is the way that it absolutely should be. We got to remember that Capricorn is an elder sign. It's the 10th sign out of 12. It's been around. It's been around. Aries, not so much. The first house, not so much. This is fresher, newer energy that Uranus might have some quick ideas, some quick suggestions. And while Saturn in Capricorn might spend some more time outlining and making the lists, checking them off before the meeting is over. So if we look back now at this sun-centered thing and we kind of put this together here, we get a little bit simpler of a thing to look at here. We can still see the square between the Mercury and Uranus, but it's not as obvious when we put it in here, right? Because if we find where Mercury is at in the Earth-centered, which is the outside, and the Sun-centered chart is on the inside, if we find Mercury here at the gateway, Mercury in the Sun-centered chart is in Scorpio. Remember we talked about Mercury being there yesterday for an opportunity which just still looks like still open to talk to Jupiter and or Saturn and discuss some things. So that opportunity is still there. to do so. However, with this square going on, maybe there's some hidden things going on about what this is really about. Because here's the sextile here. This is an opportunity for Mercury of Mind in Scorpio to display what they have found in the depths of the Scorpio. Probably learned a lot. So, when you think about the energy of Scorpio, I always think about the scorpion that's protecting something, his home or his family, and that sting that he's got to do that. They live in the depths, they live in the dark. So Scorpion energy is really about going into the depths and recovering, and also protecting what is precious, right? So there might be something that we know, that we are thinking about, that's important to the bigger picture, that's important to Jupiter and Saturn to know as they reach the top of the mountain. And this, if we look at this as a single life, as an individual person, rather than the collective, there might be something that you know deep down that is very, very relevant to your life right now that will help you to grow and to develop. A skill perhaps that you've learned, a lesson that you learned the hard way, or something that you have observed. And I think that there has been a lot of examples in 2020 and previous as to what not to do. And there are many changes that are occurring in our collective right now. So many things are changing in our personal lives as well. So just keeping those opportunities in mind from an Earth perspective. This might seem like a little bit of a struggle for Mars, because first of all, Mars doesn't like being in Taurus. It doesn't even like in the Sun Sign chart. Mars is in Gemini, and it doesn't like being in Gemini either. So kind of an overall interesting chart today as we come into a new moon that will be in Aquarius energy, and it's going to line up tomorrow with Venus and Neptune. So it's just so interesting how the timing of events and stuff can occur. I'm actually working on an astrology, a universal astrology calendar that has all the conjunctions and all the alignments and stuff on it. So it'll be a downloadable in my store here shortly. I hope to have it up by by Monday, finished over the weekend. But it's super cool, you guys. I'm making it for myself, but I'm of course going to make it available for you guys too. So pretty excited. And we definitely have some major conjunctions coming up. A lot of people have been asking me, or at least had been asking me when the new year was about to come, like, what do we got to look forward to? Is it going to be as bad as 2020? And I can tell you it's not going to be as bad as 2020. It's just a bad way to look at it in general. But there are some major conjunctions that I do think that will shake our world up once again coming into this year. So have a good one. I'm going to get this up for you guys. And please feel free to like and share this information, and like my page if you want to see more of them. I try to do them on a daily basis. All right, see you later.